And then we still have to let folks in, so.
Welcome, everyone, to the People's Party podcast for End All Wars. Welcome, everyone, to the People's Party. If you could all put your name in the chat with your state, we would appreciate it, so that if you have any questions, we can get back to you. First, I want to let you know that the People's Party holds that all wars are waged to enrich the wealthy and impoverish the poor. War has nothing to do with the interests of the people, be they in the Ukraine, Russia, or the United States, Germany, Belarus, or any other country. And that's why we are advocating to disband NATO and end all wars. And I'm going to pass it over to Nick now to tell us more about our movement and what we're doing here. Thank you, Nick.
All right. Thank you, Carolyn. And hey, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the call tonight to talk about our hashtag disband NATO action, which we are going to be taking on May 7th. So just a little more than a week from now, on Saturday, we're going to be going out across the country, and we are going to be doing a variety of different actions that we want to share with you tonight so that you can participate. And tonight on this call, we want to give you everything that you need to participate in those actions against the war. So we're going to talk a bit about why. Obviously, we know that in February, Russia invaded Ukraine, started a war in that country, but it's not that simple. The shitlibs would have you believe the story ends there. But actually, back in 1990 and 1991, the United States promised Russia to reunify Germany and end the Cold War, that in fact, NATO would not expand 1 inch to the east. And the Warsaw Pact disbanded. Instead, of course, of keeping that promise, the United States and NATO has almost doubled in size, inducting 14 new member countries and going right up in Eastern Europe and going right up to Russia's border. And NATO and Ukraine attempting to induct itself into NATO has been the real underlying cause of this war. And so just if you want an example as to why that is, just imagine if Russia started, the United States doesn't want anybody in the Western Hemisphere, let alone in North America, any Russia, China, any kind of opposing power. So just imagine if Russia or China started a hostile military alliance in the Americas and inducted 30 countries and then tried to bring Mexico into it and positioned weapons also facing the United States. The United States would definitely start a nuclear war before anything like that would happen. So that gives you an example of why Russia has drawn this line and is reacting this way. Also, NATO is responsible for the invasions in Iraq and in Libya and in destroying those countries and killing hundreds of thousands of people. So NATO exists outside of the UN security framework, which should really be what governs the international law framework that governs, whether countries are allowed to take action, what kind of military action they're allowed to take. And NATO's completely outside of that. It's outside of the Security Council framework. And that's why it should be disbanded, like the Warsaw Pact was disbanded. And of course, now it's also contributing to the massive militarization of Europe and threatening nuclear war. So that's why we're calling to disband NATO. And we have an action plan for it. And we have a bunch of different ways for everybody to take action, regardless of how many people you have and where you are. Big town, small town, large city, wherever you are and however many people you have, you can join the action. So we've laid out a number of different ways that you can take action. First is a honk and wave. So you make a sign, you go out into a busy street corner, you say honk if you support disbanding NATO, you write on a sign. Honk if you support opposing NATO, disbanding NATO, and ending the war in Ukraine. And you'll get a bunch of interaction. You can also do it in a pedestrian area, and you can start conversations that way. Also, flyering, banner drops, marches, car caravans, tabling, and actions at your member of Congress's home and district office. We had a volunteer call last week where somebody said, hey, why don't we add to the list of actions going to members of Congress's homes and their district office, especially Ro Khanna's in San Francisco? And we said, heck yeah, we did that in July of 2020 when we were protesting both parties' complete abandonment of the working class on COVID policies. We did that and demanded $2,000 a month, recurring stimulus checks, and a whole lot more. So that is a very effective form of action if you want to take that action. Where are we doing this? Across the country. We have an event map that I'm going to share where you can put up your events and you can direct people to it. So I'm going to share this with everyone now. So our event map is live now, and you can see we've got some events on the map. And so you can add yours where you are. I'm going to be in DC. And when you go here, you can press host an event. And then that's where you can add yours. So just to take a look at mine for an example, on May 7th at 11 a.m., I'm going to meet up with Medea Benjamin and others from Code Pink and others from the People's Party in the DC area. And we are going to go flyering at Eastern Market. And then I'll probably do a honk and wave in the area and possibly a banner drop too. So that gives you an example of the kinds of things that you can do and that we're looking to do. Also, we have it laid out how everybody can take action in our action toolkit. And so everybody who got the invite to this to this call through over email and the email on Monday where we announced the action should have this also in their inbox. And this is the toolkit that will tell you, share all kinds of ways that you can take action, the ways that we just talked about, and also give you a bunch of different tips and a bunch of printable materials, share our goals of spreading the word and ending the endless wars. Some more of our demands, which were in our statement. Oops. Sorry, got to mute a call. And recognizing disbanding NATO and its military bases as a demand, and recognizing the UN as a global security authority, disbanding permanent membership and veto power in the UN Security Council. We have a bunch of different demands, although our key demand is disbanding NATO, and that's why our shorthand for the action is #disbandNATO. There's a bunch of other resources here. Summary, our letter campaign, which we can share a little bit after Elise is able to speak and share some more as well. And here we have the action options. You can see the ones that I spoke about. And if you want to participate in these actions, then we'll have an opportunity for some Q&A at the end of the call to go back and forth on what you might want to do in your area. We'll share some examples of what other people are doing in their area. And we have Carolyn on the call who is coordinating with everybody, who introduced the call and is coordinating with everybody in order to set up their actions locally. So Carolyn can give you a call if you respond here. And also if you reply to the email that you got with the invitation to this call just about half an hour ago. So we have slogans you can use here as well. We have talking points that you can use when discussing with people on the street. We have these printable promotional flyers and smaller printable promotional flyers. And we have graphics of People's Party and our logo that you can print out and you can use on when you're making banners and signs. And so you can find all of this at bit.ly disband NATO, and you can find everything there. bit.ly/disband NATO. And of course, for anybody who isn't watching this immediately or who wants to find this recording later, you can go to our homepage and you can navigate to our YouTube, which is youtube.com/People's Party. And you can find all of our videos, and you can find this stream there later on. And so now I'm going to pass it on to Elise to share more about our letter writing campaign and how you can participate in that.
Yes, thank you, Nick. I'm so excited for our letter campaign because obviously we're going to be working around the country, out in the streets, and making pictures and sharing on social media. But in reality, what we really need to do is get in touch with the leaders who have the final say in all of this. So we are so excited just from when we posted it initially. We already have our group has sent out 800 letters. So I'm going to share my screen right now and show you an example. And I'm sorry, the dog is being a pain. So maybe Carolyn, you can take over and I'll just show the screen.
Okay. I was just typing an answer. So when you go to the letter campaign, you simply start, you check off your option that you want to send it by mobile, or you start writing. So you can click on the start writing, and it's going to go to your congressman. First of all, we went all out. We're sending one to Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of the Office of the Pentagon, the Secretary of Defense, the Office of Public Affairs of the CIA. And so once you fill out the form, you can check off which one of these people you want the letters to go to. The only requirement you have is to put in your phone number so the government can verify you, unfortunately, but that's part of the program. So we're sending it to the president and the vice president, and then it will go down the line. And once you put in your zip code, it will go to your individual senators and congressmen. So as you could see, for us here in Florida, it goes to Rubio and Scott. And then this is the letter, and it urges them to take action. And so far, we've gotten a good response on the letter writing campaign, and it's very simple to do, and it will go to absolutely everyone. So we encourage you all, if you can't go stand out on the street and honk and wave, or have a table at an event, you can participate by sending the letter. You could also copy and paste that letter and send it to your local newspaper as an op-ed. Anything that you can do to get the word out to end this war and disband NATO would be a huge help. And I want to give a special shout out to my friends in Portugal and have them start a campaign in Europe, because this affects them more directly than it even affects us. So we do have friends that are watching from overseas, and I'm welcoming all of our expats that are watching with us. Thank you so much for joining in with us, and please participate and know that you can send these letters. You can have an action. We invite everyone to join in. Elise has done an absolutely fantastic job on setting this all up. If you go into the toolkit, you'll have many, many, many options with flyering, and we have put in facts for you to be able to answer questions directly that people will ask of you if you're out on the street or if you're doing a tabling event. And you can even have a poster making meeting to get people together, so that all of that is there. It's quite extensive, and it's everything at your fingertips. So please take advantage of it if you want to help disband NATO and end the war in Ukraine. And I have a personal reason for being involved in this, besides being a part of the People's Party, is I'm Ukrainian. And my grandmother walked out of Ukraine under similar circumstances a long time ago with 6 children in tow, and came to America. And her husband had come ahead of her. And by the time she was able to leave, she left under extremely similar circumstances. So this is near and dear to me. I still have relatives in Odessa. I still have relatives in Korets, and in my hometown village, the village my father was born in, near Verkho, Ukraine, Ravinska Oblast. So please, everyone, it's really important that we end this war. And now I'll pass it back to Nick. Nick?
All right, Carolyn. Yeah, there's a lot of people in the United States like Carolyn who have family over in Ukraine and who are personally affected. Also, a member of our CC, Dave Meisel, also has family in Russia and has been personally affected by the war. And so this is the importance of taking action to end the war and really getting to the underlying cause, which is why we're demanding that the United States, the biggest, obviously most powerful country in NATO, call for it to be disbanded and quit the nuclear brinksmanship and quit also increasing the food and gas prices that this war has resulted in, because working people are tired of fighting rich politicians' wars and paying for them in higher prices on everything that we have to buy, especially since we haven't gotten a raise as working people since 2007. And with inflation, our own pay has just been decimated and our savings have been decimated. And so the idea that our government is now going to be waging a war and killing people, or laying the groundwork for a war and killing people halfway around the world so that we can pay higher prices in this country, is outrageous. Also, the idea that our government is going to give billions of dollars in military aid to Ukraine, billions of dollars in weapons to fuel this war and keep it going, as appears to be the United States and NATO's objective, is to just drag out this war. The United States has announced, not even hiding it anymore. The Biden administration and the Defense Department just announced that the intention was to try to bleed and cripple Russia from being able to recuperate its military capacity by dragging this on as long as they can. And so just think about how horrific that is for people in Ukraine and people around the world who have to suffer the consequences, both directly of the war and of the higher prices and of the immense food crisis and shortages that are being caused around the world, because Ukraine is one of the world's biggest food producing bread baskets. And so the fact that so much of that is no longer being exported from Ukraine is affecting the United States, it's affecting Europe, it's affecting the whole world. in terms of there are countries where famine is predicted as a result of this war. And the United States is openly saying that it wants this war to bleed Russia. And also, how is this different from the Cold War? That was essentially the Cold War strategy. Where are peace dividends from the 1990s when the Cold War ended and those trillions of dollars in military spending from the Cold War were supposed to go back to working people, go back to this country to help the people who don't have food, who don't have housing, who don't have healthcare in this country. And that's why we're taking action to end this war and to disband NATO, to get to the real cause. So I'm going to share another fun part of this. We decided that our main hashtags for the action are hashtag disband NATO and hashtag People's Party. And we decided that we're going to make it even more fun. We are going to have a sign making contest, and we're going to give $50 gift cards to the best sign that is produced and shared on social media with the hashtag on the day of action. So take a photo, make a sign, take a photo of it, and also and then put it to social media with the hashtag disband NATO. We'll find them. We'll look it up on the day of action, May 7th, and we will send a $50 gift card to our store where you can get a mug, shirt, sweatshirt, whatever you want with that. Also, next Thursday, Cinco de Mayo, we're going to have another call to prepare for the action. And this one's going to be a Cinco de Mayo sign making party. And so we're going to get together on Zoom. We're going to make signs and prepare for our action on that Saturday. And we are also going to give an award, a $50 coupon to the gift, to the web store, to the best sign there. And we'll pick the best sign on that call. Also, another category, best photo in general, and best sticker placement. So we'll have some stickers that you'll be able to print out that you can take to any office store can make stickers for you pretty quickly, same day or next day. And we will send out a sticker design for you to print out. And you can, of course, order stickers from our website, People's Party Stickers. And so everybody knows what inspired this is, I think everybody's seen the stickers that people have been placing of Biden at gas pumps saying, I did that, pointing to the high gas prices. Well, we want to have a version that says, brought to you by NATO expansion. So look for that. We will be sending it out over email. You can print that out, make them yourself. And the person who puts it in the most creative place gets $50 to our web store as well. So all of that said, I want to ask Elise and Carolyn if there's anything else you want to share about the action. And I think Carolyn in particular, you can talk about how you can walk people through the creation of their action and how they can reach out to you for help for that.
Surely. I'd be very happy to go over with anybody about how to fill out the forms. They're really quite simple. Like I said before, Elise has done a great job in making everything extremely easy. But if you have any questions at all, you can reach me at carolyn@peoplesparty.org. Send me an email or text me. Well, yeah, I'm not going to give my phone number. Sorry, guys. but you can email me, and I will be happy to help you.
And Carolyn's email is in the chat. We can give your email, right, Carolyn?
Yes, Carolyn@peoplesparty.org. I'll put it in.
All right. And then Carolyn will share her. She'll give you a call if you put your number, obviously. And so Carolyn can help walk you through getting your own, picking what kind of action you want to do locally, and also getting it on the map. And here is all of the information, the bit.ly /disband NATO. And here is our statement against the war in the chat. So with that, I think we can open it up to some questions. And so let's see what we have. Elise, do you want to call out some Q&A?
Yeah, sure. Let's see here. At the very top, we have, what's the address to go to set up your own address? You had it up on the screen for just about a second. I did put it in the chat. It's bit.ly/, all in lowercase, disband NATO. That's where you can go and you can host an event. The next question is, would there be any cons to disbanding NATO? I know they have a driving force for US war interests, but would we lose any good qualities?
Oh, that's a good question. Is there anyone else who wants to take a shot at that? I'm happy to. All right, I'm gonna say con, but possibly pro is there's a lot of military contractors. They're gonna have to find a new job. Sorry, you're gonna have to do something more constructive for society than enabling the destruction of many different countries.
All righty, thank you. The next question is for Carolyn, and maybe even me. I'm part of the Florida People's Party. Yay! How can we get everyone to start learning and building aquaculture environments for civilization and self-sufficiency? Wow, I'd really like to talk with you. That sounds like a great opportunity for development. So in order to reach us, you type in Florida at peoplesparty.org is our email address. And yes, we definitely could use your help. And that brings me to another point here. You know, we have states that are developing throughout the nation. You know, this is really a good opportunity to not only get in the street and support the Ukraine, the initiative, the disband NATO, and following the peace actions, but at the same time, it also allows us the opportunity to speak to others about the People's Party. Some states are in this status where like Florida, for example, all it requires is someone affiliating with the party, changing their voter registration. That's the way it is in California. That's the way it is in Maine, and that's the way it is in Massachusetts. And I can tell you that there are all sorts of other states that are working on getting ballot petitions signed and that type of thing. So this is a win-win for everyone all the way along. But the bottom line is, you know, it's a win-win for the people to have folks like you participating out there, getting the job done. That's what it's all about. And so I'll pass it back to Carolyn, and she can talk to you a little bit more about how you can use this for networking in your local communities, whether or not it's even, quite honestly, in your neighborhood. Thank you.
Well, what you can do is once you start this movement that we're asking you to do, it's going to enable you to connect with other people in the anti-war movement. It's also going to connect you with other people in People's Party that are in the area, because once you have put up your event, we will be getting requests and RSVPs from people, and we're going to be referring them to you, and you're going to be able to form a nucleus and start a group. And that's basic organizing 101. This is how it's done. You put up the action, you send out flyers, you send out emails, and people come and join you. So this is a great way to meet more like-minded people. And this is what we're all about, because the People's Party is looking for more like-minded people to build the party across the nation. And it's just good. It's a good feeling to meet people that have your same perspective. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Nick.
So we do have a few other questions just to butt in here real quick. So we had Patrick is saying, are there any plans to run candidates this year?
That's still something that we're looking at, and so we'll have an update on that shortly.
Next question is from Deidre. What can you summarize about Andrew Zelensky, former president of Poland, and his involvement with Burisma? I don't know if that said that right.
Burisma.
Burisma, there we go.
Yes, and so I don't know as much about that aspect of it, but it does appear that Hunter Biden and Joe Biden have a personal stake in the war because of Hunter Biden's corruption and his involvement in Burisma, the energy company in Ukraine. So that I can say that the corruption, I think itself, is influencing U.S. policy here and the United States' involvement. Obviously, Zelensky is just a puppet of the West. The United States in 2014 actually staged a coup. Victoria Nuland is on video from the Obama and Biden administration in 2014. She was caught on video stating that and admitting that the United States was behind the 2014 Maidan coup in Ukraine, which replaced the democratically elected government in Ukraine at the time, the Viktor Yanukovych government. And so that's also part of the context that you never hear in the corporate media when the war in Ukraine is discussed. And that's another reason that we need to, it's so important that we get out there. Here's I think the best indication of how strong the propaganda is. Right now, there's about 70% of people who support a no-fly zone in Ukraine, in the United States. 70% of Americans support that. That's horrific. Hillary Clinton ran on establishing a no-fly zone in Syria in 2016, which also would have brought the United States into direct military conflict with Russia, and also would have meant shooting down Russian jets. So that's insane. That's what it would mean in Ukraine. In Ukraine, there are campaigns to get the United States or to get individual rich Americans to buy you a jet, or to buy you to send tanks, for the United States to send tanks. And so that is absurd. If NATO didn't exist and wasn't trying to induct Ukraine into it, then Russia would not have invaded in the first place. And also Russia, which has sought a neutral Ukraine, not even a Ukraine that's necessarily allied with Russia as it was when the Viktor Yanukovych government was in place in 2014, that would be Russia would be satisfied with that. So that's the long-term end to this war, and also to quit enabling American wars across the Middle East and North Africa and around the world with NATO. So are there any other questions, Elise?
Yeah, I just have two more. One from Jonathan. What are we going to do that is actually effective? Forums and protests are limited in impact. Are we going to go after Biden for his complete ineffectiveness? Withholding taxes via tax revolt is the only way to hit them in the pocketbook if you don't believe in MMT.
Well, I think you're thinking along the same lines, and that's specifically why we're organizing this. So little attention has been brought to NATO's role in it. And as the People's Party, we believe in a dual track philosophy of organizing and direct action and electoral work and elections and supporting candidates and building a party. We believe that combining those in one organization is the strongest possible approach and is our theory of change. And so that's why we've supported actions from in July of 2020, going directly to members of Congress's home. The best way to get their attention, protests at their home. They hate it. It's great. Also, Force the Vote that December, doing Force the Vote, and the actions that we did in Washington, D.C., the town hall we hosted around that, demanding Medicare for all. actions that we've participating in the action for the March for Medicare for All, of course, actions that we did at AOC's office in New York City, demanding that she support Medicare for all, actions that we did calling out the squad also on the steps of Congress for not supporting the eviction moratorium. So those are the kinds of, we absolutely believe in that dual track, and in taking action in addition to electoral action, and on the scale that you're talking about, like a general strike, for example. There's incredible progress being made in the labor movement right now, unionizing Amazon and Starbucks, the work that Chris Smalls is doing, and so many others across the country. So that absolutely is the future, is combining both of them. Neither one is enough in and of itself, because you can't actually come to take office and without taking direct action. Look through a look through U.S. history shows that mass movements and mass mobilizations have always been behind major change, as have independent parties, have always been the first pushing behind it, whether it's abolition, whether it's women's suffrage, whether it's child labor laws, whether it is the 40-hour work week. Independent parties and mass movements of people in the streets have always been required to push these. And that's why we're pushing what we are now.
That's pretty much summarizes the question that we had next, which was, do you think this campaign is feasible without first eliminating the financial incentives Congress has for going to war? We kind of already addressed that. We can talk about that in just a minute, but I do want to go ahead and give you one of the last questions that I have. And that is, in addition to that one, is there a legitimate mutual aid effort we can boost that is actually benefiting people, civilians on the ground in Ukraine, and not conscripted fighters or neo-Nazis?
That is a great question. I'm not aware of which ones, but I would imagine that international aid organizations like perhaps the Red Cross and Doctors Without Borders would be helping in Ukraine. And so I would look at those organizations and see if they have aid campaigns in Ukraine, of course, because of course there are millions of people have been displaced by the war. And so that is a horrific side of it, and why we need to bring it to an end as quickly as possible.
I just wanted to jump in here. This is Carolyn. I have already donated to the Russian Red Cross. It's called the Red Crescent, because that's the very organization that paid for my grandmother and my father and the other 5 children to come to America when they were leaving as refugees. So it was very emotional for me to donate to them. But yes, they are looking for donations for the Russian Red Crescent. Thank you.
And last but not least, we do have some folks wanting to have more of a global perspective on the party as a whole, is how we are moving along. Thanks.
Oh, I see. Great. Okay. I'm glad you bring that up, Elise, because we do have some other updates that we wanted to share at the end of the call. So this sounds like a great time. So other things that are going on in the People's Party, we have, after 3 months of hard work, our delegates elected to the National Organizing Committee from states across the country have completed their work in forming the national charter and the preamble to the charter of the People's Party of the United States. So this is the charter for our national committee of the People's Party that will unite, obviously, state representatives. And so then our next work is going to be reconvening as the National Organizing Committee 2 weeks from now on May 12th to begin the work on the bylaws of the People's Party of the United States. So that is going to be the week after the actions. And if someone can find and share a link to our preamble came out amazingly. It is a fantastic statement of for why we need a major new populist party in this country. So that's also happening. And we're, of course, organizing in states across the country. And so if you want to volunteer generally, then please go to peoplesparty.org and you can find our volunteer link on the homepage and you can sign up there. Actions are the best way to bring people in and the best way to build kind of like a core nucleus group of people in your area and to find like-minded people who want to support the People's Party and then to do the other aspects of party building. And so hosting an action in your area is going to connect you with those people. So we absolutely recommend and encourage that you do, if you can, host any form of action on the 7th. If you have to host it the next day or a day before, do that too. The point is to take action, to bring attention to the fact that we're standing up when so many other groups and people are not, and we're bringing attention to what is the real source of the problem. And we're no stranger to doing that. Nobody else was standing up for working people when we took action and went to members of Congress's homes demanding a real COVID stimulus for working people after they spent trillions bailing out the banks in another Wall Street bailout. We were the only major national organization that worked with Jimmy Dore and others on Force the Vote to demand that the Democrats and the squad make Pelosi's vote contingent on a floor vote on Medicare for all. So we're no stranger to this. And those actions have made a big difference. And that's why we're doing it again. And I'm happy to say too, that we do have allies in the peace movement, Code Pink, Peace Action, who are looking at doing local actions, are going to be doing local actions as well with us. Code Pink has set up their own map of actions, peaceinukraine.org, I believe it is. And so you can find more actions there as well. So we look forward to hitting the streets with our allies and any other groups, any group you want to work with locally, any group you can build a coalition with, an alliance with for this action, the more the merrier.
Yeah, and actually, if you are working with another group, you can even put that group, you can even put the event that you're attending and going to with that group on the map so that everybody else that's around you also can participate and knows that it's going on. In addition to that, we will be doing invites for anyone who does have an action coming up. We do radius emails so that we can bring folks to you. So again, it's very important that you get those items on the map. I understand that people have been writing in and giving us their information for their action, but it would be a heck of a lot simpler if you could just go ahead and put it in the map. That way we have everything coordinated with timelines as far as getting those invitations out to people in your area. Thank you.
Very true. And so far we've got actions in Florida, North Carolina, DC and Virginia, Massachusetts, Vermont. So come add yours to the map and we will help you out in bringing folks. We'll share it with hundreds of people in the area so that you can connect with them directly for the action. So.
And then too, one of the things that's really neat is that you can go ahead, once you create your action, you'll get a follow-up email that tells you how you can share your information directly to your Facebook and to your Twitter, and how you can even just quickly write a note to your friends and even maybe send them a brief text message so that you can connect with folks that way as well. Thanks.
So again, for everybody, I'm putting it in the chat. The link to find all of these resources, it's bit.ly/disband NATO. So let's see, Elise, do we have any other questions? Can you hear me, Elise?
Yeah, sorry, I was talking.
Oh.
I said, so one was a statement that I was just looking at. The other one here is, what are we doing to recruit a viable candidate for president of the United States?
Yeah, there is a major opening for a presidential candidate. In fact, just a couple days ago, the Hill, it is, I believe, released a study showing that 58% of people, Americans, do not want to vote for Donald Trump or Joe Biden, the candidates who are likely to be running again in 2024 is likely to see a rematch. And of course, Joe Biden seems to be completely incapable of even carrying out the job anymore. I mean, every other day there's like a new video of the guy just rambling or trying to shake hands with like thin air. It's absolutely embarrassing. And so who knows if he's even going to be able to run again, in which case there might be an open primary in the Democratic and the Republican Party. Of course, it doesn't matter. There's no progressive who is going to win. There's no populist who is going to win in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, for that matter. Trump, obviously, is a fake populist. He's a billionaire, reality TV game show host, deep in the swamp in office. And of course, anybody like Bernie, who recently leaked a memo that he clearly wanted to get out, saying that, if Joe Biden doesn't run again, maybe Bernie will run again. Well, Bernie, we've seen this movie twice. We know how it ends. And I find it very, very telling that Bernie, on the day that news actually broke, there was a lot of press coverage of it, but I didn't see it go trending or anything on Twitter. And so I find that very, very telling. I think people are aware and awake to the fact that the Democratic Party is going to cheat anybody who runs in their primaries, as they did with Bernie twice. And not only cheat them, but co-opt them, as they did with Bernie and the squad. So the idea that we're just going to get a few more squad members, that's going to change things, that's obviously bullshit. They had the power to demand a floor vote on Medicare for all. They had the power to demand a $15 minimum wage. They had the power to hold Joe Biden to even his moderate promises of writing off $10,000 in student debt for everyone. And they haven't done any of that, or even a public option. Those are things Biden ran on. So they put themselves to the right of Biden's campaign, the progressives in Congress. That's what the Democratic Party does to you. So no hope in reforming that party or the Republican Party. That's why we're starting a major new corporate-free People's Party.
All righty. I'm not seeing any other questions in the Q&A. I do see that there's a couple of people who have their hand up, but unfortunately, I'm not able to cue those in. Perhaps one of our co-hosts can find them. I'm having difficulty doing that. Thanks.
Well, let me see. Victor, I see you had your hand up. Are you able to talk?
He has to unmute, Nick.
Can you unmute Victor? There we go.
Hi, everybody. I just want to say that we definitely have to get out into the streets, and we'll see all the support that the no war, say no to war sentiment there is out there. And whatever you do, because the media is trying to present just one point of view. We have to go out and meet people and get them together in order to have actions that will grow. They might not be huge actions at the beginning, but once people see that there is an opposition, that opposition will grow. And this is the only party that is pushing for that kind of response to end the expansion of NATO. Who in the American population voted for us to be in NATO. Okay, maybe we should put it up for a vote. And you know, so NATO has to go. And once the United States pulls out, it will crumble. You know, once they feel that foundation shaking, things are going to move. That's what I say. Let's get out there and take advantage of all these different, all this different support that the People's Party is offering us in order to get our message across.
All right, Victor, and thank you, Victor. Victor is a pro at taking local actions, especially against the embargo, the U.S. embargo against Cuba. So thank you, Victor. Victor, are you going to be taking action to disband NATO on May 7th?
Oh, I definitely will. I definitely will.
Hell yeah. All right. All right. Thanks, Victor. Want to shout out Greg S., who in the comments said, I'm a former Army officer and combat veteran against this insane and dangerous war. Absolutely. And thank you for taking a stand as a veteran, especially against this war that risks nuclear war and is increasing food and gas prices for everyone in the United States. And displacing and killing thousands and millions of people in Ukraine. Alliance with, and someone asked, Graham asked also about alliances with religious pacifists. Absolutely, absolutely. We believe in working with just about anyone who opposes the war. That issue is what brings us together. And from whatever angle you approach that, from whatever angle you approach peace and dignity for all people, we support that. And of course, it's all the more important because the United States has made alliances and bedfellows with Nazis, none other than Nazis in Ukraine, supporting the Azov Battalion and others that are not just in that battalion, but throughout the military and in government in the United States. So it just goes to show that the same, liberal media organizations that have so much righteous indignation, when Trump is inciting Nazis to invade the Capitol, look at how they react. Look at how they react when they align them when it comes to wanting to drain Russia, bleed Russia, as the Defense Department basically said. They align themselves with Nazis in Europe. So it's horrific, and that's part of what we want to bring to an end. Absolutely. Rex says CIA has been supporting Nazis in Ukraine ever since 1948. Absolutely. It couldn't recruit Nazis fast enough after the end of the Second World War. So, all right, everyone. Our action, #disband NATO, is on May 7th. And so get in touch with us, reply to the email. If you want to take action, we're going to end. We're going to end now by taking a survey of folks on the call, and we will reach out to you. And so if you want to take action against the war, please raise your hand now. Find the raise your hand button at the bottom and raise it, and we're going to get in touch with you. Our organizers will get in touch with you. Carolyn will give you a call. All right, amazing. Amazing. We've got a ton of people who want to take action. So just keep them up. Raise your hand if you want to take action against the war, and we'll connect you locally. We'll give you a call, get in touch. We're recording everybody who has raised their hand now so we can get in touch. All right. All right. Awesome. We got about half of everyone who's on the call who wants to take action. Okay, so we'll be in touch and we'll see you in the streets and we'll see you at the Cinco de Mayo sign making party. So look for those invites. Find everything online at the bit.ly link, and have a great evening, everyone.